Shugalan Libra. I am Ishka Medicine, your Ayuvan, and I will be doing this reading for you for this lunar month, this lunar period, this lunar cycle happening between the May 4th and June 3rd of this year. Your journey looks a little troubling, this lunar cycle, Libra. I've got the Hunter of Conflict in reverse, which is really revealing to me. And then I get the Five of Bows in upright position. There's lots of conflict heading your way. Lots of conflict heading your way. And this is part of a spiritual venture for you. Spirit is orchestrating this conflict that is heading your way. And what's more is that it's going to require you to tap into your vulnerability. It's going to require you to be vulnerable, Libra. It's going to require you to be open. It's going to require you to truly trust in your instincts, no matter what, to just give yourself to your instincts. This is going to be a very instinctual period for you, Libra. Not to say that the thinking and logic and reasoning are not important, but this cycle, this period for you has a lot to do with trusting in your intuition, your instincts, okay? And it has a lot to do with being spontaneous, with being adventurous, with just getting out there and going out there and doing it, okay? But then I also have the Hunter of Conflict in reverse, which tells me that there's a fear of conflict going on within you, Libra, that you fear, you run away, you're trying to escape this conflict. And that's only ultimately going to be to your detriment. Sometimes conflict is necessary in order to bring about change. And, that is something that is very obvious as it's supported by the Five of Bows. The Five of Bows is, there's lots of conflict with the Five of Bows. There's lots of conflict. There's lots of competition, lots of conflict. There's lots of ups and downs and just trusting in your instincts. There's lots of just going for it. There's lots of, ebbs and flows, rise and falls, and you get back up again and you keep going, But the Hunter of Conflict in reverse is a bit concerning to me. So there's something there, okay? And it may be that spirit is trying to bring to your awareness the fear that you have of enduring conflict. It could be that. It could be that spirit is trying to bring this to your awareness so that it could be healed. So there is perhaps a spiritual initiation going on for you, where you can be able to heal and resolve your trauma, if you will, and your woundings that are around conflict. Have a little faith in yourself, have a little courage here. So let's going on with communications. We've got the Dancer of Life. We've got the Mirror. And we've got the Three of Bows. What comes to me real big with this, Libra, you may be receiving some messages around a fear of living your life. Once again, I go back to trauma here. There's a lot of trauma happening for you as to why it is very difficult for you to live your life the way you would like it to. I got the Three of Bows in reverse, which talks about this fear of coming out of the darkness, which talks about this fear of going it alone, talks about this fear of leaving the trauma behind, leaving the struggle behind, leaving the the obstacles behind, the darkness behind you. There is a fear with leaving this darkness behind you. Um, and chances are it could be very relative to the conflict that you have fear with. Um, the mirror seeks to give you a new perspective. The mirror truly seeks, Libra, to help you, support you. Um, there may be a moment of confusion where you might get very confused. Something may be communicated to you that you get very confused about. You don't understand. Um, and understand that that's part of the mirror's process because it wants to open your mind. It wants to help you see things from a different perspective. And in order for you to see things from a different perspective, a lot of times uh, we need to surrender our ego. We need to surrender our identity. We need to surrender understanding. Lean not on your own understanding is part of the mirror's medicine. Lean not on your own understanding. Surrender your ego, surrender your understanding to a higher understanding and a newer perspective, a different point of view. Empty the cup. Empty the cup of your mind that is plagued. You want to live life. This dancer of life shows up because you want to live life. And perhaps there's this part of you that has a sense of betrayal, that you can't live life, that's keeping you away from living life. And it's part of that fear. It's part of it. It has to do with the reason, I think that in your heart, Libra, that you're going to have to take this journey alone to living the life that you want to live. But I also believe that according to all of this, that there's fear around doing that. And you need a vacation, the dancer of fear is like fear of conquering, blocking, not taking the steps needed in order to conquer, in order to be victorious. For some of you, with the dancer of life in reverse, there could be a breakup. There could be a divorce. I don't mean to sound so straightforward about it, but I don't know how else way to say it. But there could definitely be some conflict happening between you and a significant other. And, chances are that could end up, with separation. And for some of you, it may just simply be that you never do what you set out to do out of fear because you're too afraid. But the mirror here is saying there's a fresh perspective that you might not be able to see that I want you to see. So be open. There might be a time of confusion where you just don't feel like you know anything about anything at this point. Everything just seems so up in the air, just seems so everywhere. I just don't understand. I just don't know. Understand that right now, Spirit, that's okay. That's okay. We want you to be confused, okay? Because we want you to be open. We want you to be open to what Spirit is trying to relay to you, what they're trying to reveal for you. Okay, Libra? So be open to that, all right? Just kind of surrender to it. Surrender your ego. Just come into alignment with it. And it's okay now to be in a place of inactivity at this time. too, this month. It's probably okay for you to be in a space of inactivity so that you have time to really open your mind and do some inner journey work, do some reflective work and some introspective work. So I've got the spirit of empowerment in your area of actions and that you need to take, aspirations. And this speaks to me about infusing you with the power, understanding that your immortality lies within the shadows of who you are. And also understanding that, also empowering you to be a warrior, to be a leader in the light of who you are. So I'll say that in a different way. The spirit of empowerment is here to infuse you with the power that lies deep down inside of your shadow self. There is a truth there. There's a hidden treasure lying deep down inside your shadow self, Libra. That the spirit of empowerment wants you to get real, rot gut honest about, so as to be able to take on a form of leadership and a form of empowerment, and to express that, to radiate that, to illuminate that in your externalized world. So the spirit of empowerment empowers you from within so that you could be able to express that without. Okay? It's a very strong energy. The spirit of empowerment, it's definitely time to take action. Definitely time to do some clearing work. Definitely time to do some cleansing. Definitely time to let go of burdens and traumas. The spirit of empowerment seeks to free you from anything that is oppressing you. Okay? And for some of you, what may be oppressing you is this fear of change. The fear of change might be what is oppressing you. The fear to die to who you were, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of things. So there's a fear of dying to who I am, because I can manage that. That's familiar to me. I know how to deal with it, as opposed to the unknown. And I do want to say that there's sort of a progression happening here with the mirror and the journey card, because both of them speak about letting go of your ego, speaks about surrendering your ego to the unknown, to mystery, okay? And what that means is giving yourself permission to have no clue, giving yourself permission to not know, giving yourself permission to be lost, okay? Lost and confused, so that you are open to receiving the healing help from the universe. The universe is calling out to you, Libra. I just want to make that abundantly clear to you. I don't know how much more clear I can make that, but the universe is calling out to you. You've got a spirit card here, and then you've got two major arcana here. The universe is trying to call out to you, Libra. And chances are what the universe is trying to do is heal your soul with the Ace of Vessels. What the spirit, of the universe wants to do, is heal your soul. Okay? Of any impurity, of any negative energies. It wants to heal it. It wants to hold you close. It wants to reconnect you to great mystery. It wants to reconnect you to the mysteries of existence, of infinity, of all that is. It wants to connect you once again, Libra. It seems that you've been very disconnected. You've been lost in perhaps anger. You've perhaps been lost in repression and oppression. You've perhaps been feeling like you're locked up and jailed up, and there's this part of you that wants to get free but doesn't know how. You've been lost in guilt and you've been lost in shame. And Spirit wants to jump in to purify your soul. I want to say something about the aces. They're very pure cards. The aces are very pure cards. They're very pure spirits, the aces are. They're connected to the most rawest energies of Creator. Before being molded into something else, before being corrupted, before being adulterated, before, having anything there, it's this raw energy. And the Ace of Vessels is the raw energy of water. And that means raw energy of dreams. That means raw energy of healing, raw energy of feeling, of sexuality, of psychic. This is an initiation that is trying to happen for you. And, this lunar month, it's going to be very important for you to aspire towards cleansing yourself, mind, body, and soul, and reconnecting with great mystery, reconnecting with all that is, reconnecting with all that is, reconnecting with Al-Jara, reconnecting with, Creator Spirit, Supreme Creator, you as a co-creator, you as, you're important, Libra. We need you. We need your creative self to be present, to be valid, to be real, to be breathing and existing in this world. We need it. Okay, you have an important role to play, Libra. Okay, and whatever traumas that you've gone through, there's something beyond that. There's a lesson there. There's some karmic debts there, but there's something beyond it. And, we're talking about doing some healing work here. We're talking about purification going on for you. So give yourself permission to surrender to that. You may not necessarily understand, and it may not make sense, but spirit doesn't make sense. We don't understand spirit with our minds. Spirit is far more than understanding than we could ever understand. Lean not on your understanding here, Libra. Allow your heart and your mind and your spirit and your body to be open to the healing process for your sake and for the sake of all of humanity. We're relying on you, Libra. Got an important role to play. The ancestor of memory comes up as your emotional card. The ancestor of memory talks about understanding the histories of physical things that you perhaps have emotional attachment to. And when we talk about physical things, we don't necessarily have to be talking about money or cars, although we could be talking about those. We could also be talking about historical monuments. We could be talking about buildings, temples, churches. We could be talking about an industry that you're a part of, a career or industry that you're in. We could be talking about animals. We could be talking about plants. We could be talking about understanding the ancestral lineage, the histories behind these physical things. Antiques, we could be talking about that too. The ancestor of memory. It's such a wow. It's a healing card. It's an exonerating card. It's a spirit that's very sacrificial and healing in essence, because it is passing down the wisdoms of the ancestors to you, the wisdoms, the histories, to you. It's giving you an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to take on the burden and responsibility of becoming a wisdom keeper. Because this is part of your emotional read too, It makes me curious if a pregnancy might be happening around you, Libra. And it makes me double curious because you've also got the two of arrows um, in your spread, and the emotional finger. You've got the two of arrows there. The two of arrows, however, in this position talks about deceit. Okay, and talks about an inability to detach, and talks about lies. It talks about secret information that was given secretly, that is to the detriment of truth, of your truth. Um, and it talks about shady plans. It talks about the two of arrows, talks about, there's some shady plans going on, in secret, things that are not going to be helpful to you. And then you also have, at the base of all this, you've got the Ace of Bows, which talks about dreams and aspirations, and talks about going for. I'm curious if you have been um, wanting to have a child. Perhaps some of you Libra are wanting to have a child, or at least, um, considering kids, or maybe you are conceiving, or maybe you're dreaming of conceiving. Something's going on with that for some of you, not for all of you, but for some of you. But I'd also say that there's some misinformation going on here with the two of arrows, so just be very careful of that. Be very careful that you're not being emotionally drawn to people who are deceitful and dishonest. Be careful of that at this time, okay? Just watch your back, watch yourself. Because you've also got the Ace of Bows in reverse too, in which, that talks about, you know, an inability. That talks about repressed energy right there. So it's like something is supposed to happen, but it's not happening. And yet you have the ancestor of memory um, in upright position, and so it just makes me really curious. Like, um, obviously, something is being passed down to you. Obviously, there's some midwifing going on here to some extent, some conception. Just be very careful that there's some deceit and dishonesty going on here along the way of that too. That's going to have some emotional repercussions for you. Libra, for your Earth card, you've got another spirit. For your Earth based finger reading passage, things having to do with career and having to do with finances and physical assets, and materialization, you've got the spirit of destruction. And it's in reverse. And there's a definite fear of dealing with the spirit of destruction. Seems to want to uh, transmute, destroy, sever ties that are having to do with traumatic family um, curses, uh, um, hexes, negative energies that have to do with family. The spirit, like, there's some emotional tie here for you going on with family. I don't know if you can see this card, but it's the Three of Vessels in reverse. And there's some negative emotional emotions that have a lot to do with family for you, Libra. The spirit of destruction wants to destroy all of that, wants to set it ablaze, um, and burn it down, because it wants to help you create change in your life. But there's a resistance. It's like you're holding on to the negative. It's like you're holding on to the constructs of who you've been and not letting it go. Just be very careful. you know it may be connected to some sort of negative energy There's some negative forces working against you in that regard, um, uh, Libra. Okay, just be very careful, um, that you're not holding on to something that is to your own detriment. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of want and need to do cleansing work here with you, Libra. Overall, the spread is about purification, and it's about cleansing, and it's about helping you to create change in your life, and helping you to go after what you want in your existence. But there's a lot of doubt, and there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of deceitfulness, and there's a lot of illusions, that are plaguing you in your mind and your heart, and they're keeping you away from going after what you want. So here's the truth. Something inside of you is keeping you away from going after what it is you want in your life, Libra. Something is inside of you. The Two of Arrows, that's one of your cards right there. That's a Libra card, and it's in reverse. Something is inside of you that is keeping you away from going after whatever it is that you're wanting in your life. If it looks like advancing in a career, for example, or if it looks like understanding the back end, understanding the historical uh, essentials of a career, or of a building, or of an antique. If it looks like, um, just for whatever reason, because I'm looking at this whole thing, and it's like all the rest of this is kind of like very spiritual to me. I mean, you've got the Five of Bows. The Five of Bows is, you know, basically allowing yourself to embody your spirit, and letting your spirit guide the way. And then you've got the Three of Bows. Same thing, just on the level of let it guide you out of the darkness and into the light. And there's a resistance with that, and lots of resistance with change, lots of fear around, going for what you aspire to be, lots of repressed energy, lots of disheartening, deceit, lies and deceit telling you that you cannot do what it is that the ancestor of memory is trying to get you to remember, that who you are. The ancestor of memory, Libra, is trying to get you to remember a truth about who you are. Okay? It's trying to get you to remember, to recall something in your mind, in your head, in your heart, to remember something so that you can go, whoa, this is divinely purposed. This is the root of who I am. This is my purpose. This is part of who I am. So this is supposed to happen, right? Because a lot of times when we're lost, and when we don't know and we don't understand, and we're just going through the motions, and we're just going through the trauma, okay? Um, uh, we start searching. What is the meaning of life? The ancestor of memory here is trying to help you. It's trying to pass down some wisdom and information for you, to help you remember that meaning of life, that you do have a purpose, you do have a meaning for being here. That ancestor of memory is trying to get you to remember that. But I see lies and deceit happening on the other side of it. And then I see, repressed energy, feeling uninspired, to move forward, to do anything. So it's very troubling to me, Libra. And then it's like, I'm too attached to my physical things here with the spirit of destruction. I'm too attached to the physical, and all that has to do with a whole lot of family um, energy. It all has to do with a lot of family pain, honestly, and a lot of family wounding, and a lot of family trauma, that you're so very attached to these physical things, you know, because you could change. The spirit of destruction, the journeyer, the journey card, those cards are about change. This card, the Five of Bows, about change. Your inability to deal with conflict, your inability to speak certain truths because you have a fear of conflict. Okay? But sometimes you've got to be brave. And sometimes you just have to go there. You just have to go for it. Sometimes you just gotta, this is the way it is, and that's it. Libra. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you cannot always be peace loving. Sometimes you got to be a war bringer like your opposite, Aries. Sometimes you got to bring the war because you're fighting for your life, Libra. Okay? You've got to fight. You got to fight through the conflict. You got to fight the war in order for you to have peace in your life. If you just strive for peace, if you just strive for tranquility without ever fighting for your right to have it, then what you're doing is you're giving up, you're letting yourself succumb to defeat, okay? And you're just trying to create peace and acceptance around unnecessary burdens and oppressions that you would not have to have if you just gave yourself permission to speak your peace, to speak your truth. Even if it begins conflict, let the conflict begin in the name of healing, because sometimes conflict heals. Okay? Yes, it creates destruction. Of course, we all freak out. We all feel uncomfortable when it comes to destruction. Okay? But, come on. You're not going to get to the power that you need to get to for yourself, Libra, if you're too afraid of facing the conflict. So I just was stopping by. Spirit was just stopping by during this lunar month to help you gain some awareness around all of this, Libra, so that perhaps you can make a different choice for yourself. Perhaps you can make a different decision. Perhaps you can choose to stand up for you this time. Perhaps you can choose to stand up for your truth. Perhaps you can choose to stand in your truth. Perhaps you can choose to fight for that truth. The Five of Bows, fighting for your truth, fighting for divine purpose. Your divine purpose, Libra, is not to be oppressed. It's not oppressed. That's not your divine purpose. You want to generate peace. You want to generate security. You want to generate tranquility. You want to have serenity. I get it. Okay? But you've got to be willing to fight for that. You've got to be willing to speak up for yourself and speak your truth. So that's your medicine. I hope that this has helped you and served you some way, somehow, Libra. I truly do. And I hope it continues to serve you. I love you very much, Libra, and I really do truly hope that you find a way to create the true peace, the true harmony, the true balance in your life. Not from a place of conflict or from a place of trauma or from a place of shame or guilt. Dare yourself. Dare yourself. The spirit of empowerment. Empower yourself to come from a place of love and recognize that sometimes love is expressed in conflict. Sometimes love expresses itself in conflict, especially when it's about freeing yourself from the chains of oppression. Sometimes love looks like freeing, it expresses itself through conflict too. Ashugalan, Agalanor. Go with love.